Good morning and welcome to Coffee with Alain. It's Saturday. I like to talk about books on many Saturdays. So we're going to talk about these 4 books today. And normally, if I wasn't here at home, I'd be having Dan Severin on the show, this Coffee with Alain, like I did the last few years. Because really regretting that I'm not down at the Korean Martial Art Festival, which is going on this weekend. I'm drinking out of a Whataburger mug, a gift from Dixon. Dixon actually taught yesterday at the Korean Martial Art Festival, one of the instructors there. I'm glad I got that cup when I met with him earlier this year. So I got to see him this year since I'm not seeing him this weekend. Just the knee not going to let me do it this year. I almost didn't meet Dixon when he gave me that cup because of the knee flare up and stuff, and I almost had to cancel that training. Doctors gave me a big old brace that I was wearing, with the metal hinges and all that I wore during that, and it's just the knee's just getting worse, and so could not go to the Korean Martial Art Festival. The only reason I haven't had the surgery yet is because there was no way I was going to miss my daughter's graduation. And the surgeon was like, well, let's pump you full of cortisone and get you through that. And then we'll have the surgery. So I'm having it right after my daughter's graduation next month, instead of having it this month like they were going to do. But that's why I didn't do the Korean Martial Art Festival this weekend, and really missing all my friends and colleagues and people down there this weekend. But anyway, that's why I'm drinking out of the mug that Dixon gave me earlier this year, Whataburger. He knows I like burgers, and Whataburger is one of his favorites down in Texas. They have one in Crestview, Florida, too, where the Korean Martial Art Festival is going at. So I've had Whataburgers down there, too. So anyway, let's talk about books. I got a bunch of them today. Let's talk about this one briefly first. Hard Target Living. Great book. It says supercharge your situational awareness, vanquish your vulnerabilities, and stay safe. Donna Miles. Great book. It starts out with just a terrifying real story that happened to her and her husband with a home invasion. And, it could have gone either way as far as who was killed or hurt and so forth. And just terrifying, to wake up and have somebody there in your home. And so she told that story, and that's what sort of led her down the path of helping others stay safe. I'm not going to talk much about this book. I'm going to do it really briefly, but she talks about hidden consequences of habits, mindsets, and beliefs. Really good stuff. 5 action states of situational awareness, criminal indicators, hard target living in practice, safety hacks, and dealing with the aftermath. Short book, but powerful book with some really good information, not about self-defense or fighting, but how you can make yourself a harder target so criminals will go somewhere else. Something I talk about an awful lot. And so, I was just reading this book, nodding, yes, good stuff. Not going to say anything more about it because I'm going to have Donna on the show next Friday. So we'll talk more in depth about all sorts of stuff when she's here live with me Friday. So be here next Friday or catch the replay for some really good stuff with Donna talking about this book and ways to keep yourself a hard target. Next one I'm going to talk about are these 2. Twin Peaks and the autobiography of FBI Special Agent Dale Cooper, My Life, My Tapes, both based on the TV show. And so Twin Peaks is it's a unique little book that it's all about a town. And it's just like a book you'd find on any real town. There's stuff about the animals and the different wildlife and the things that are around the town and the population of the town and places to go in the town and notable people, from the television show. Even back here in the back, I like it, mileage from Twin Peaks to, and it includes Missoula. Twin Peaks was 208 miles away from Missoula, and they actually mentioned Missoula in the show, which way back when I was in college, early 90s, doing my undergraduate, is when Twin Peaks, the original show, came on. And there were a group of us that got together every week to watch Twin Peaks. And so we all really liked the show. We watched it together, you know, drinking and eating and having fun watching Twin Peaks every week. And it was really cool when they mentioned Missoula, because we were all watching it here in Missoula at the University of Montana. And so I've had this on the shelf since then, and I read it again just for memory's sake, as now I'm purging the library and getting rid of it. And it was the same with this one, the Dale Cooper, My Life, My Tapes. I love that character. You know, he just did a great job as that character. And so this was fun. This was an autobiography. If you ever watched the show, he always recorded stuff, you know, into his little tape recorder. Well, he actually got a tape recorder, a bigger one, as a kid. And this is all of the recordings. And it's funny because it goes, oh, there were no, you know, Dale made only one more tape during his training at the academy, or those tapes, those months were lost in a fire. He didn't record during this time. And so there's those little kind of notes, but all these different recordings he made right up to the last recording in this book. There's been a body found in Washington State, Diane, a young woman wrapped in plastic. I'm headed for a small town called Twin Peaks. So this is his life up before the show. And so it was just a fun read about that character, you know, him growing up and going to the FBI Academy and the stuff that led him to Twin Peaks. So it was just fun. I wanted to read it one more time for old time's sake before I purge and get rid of it. And so I enjoyed that. You know, I also had the third book. They put 3 out back then. I have The Secret Diary of Laura Palmer. I didn't care for that one as much. And so I didn't reread this. And they're all 3 going in the donation and getting rid of now. And the last book that I just finished, The Gold Coast by Nelson DeMille. Big, long book like he likes to write. This one wasn't as action-packed and sort of as some of the others I've read of his. You know, it's essentially, I mean, an attorney in the Gold Coast there in New York, and a mobster moves in next door, and how his life changes and the relationship with the mobster, you know, the mafia, and his wife and other people. And, you know, it's an interesting story how it gets woven, and I enjoyed it. It was an interesting read, even though it didn't have all the action and some of that as some other books and some of his. It was a good novel. I mean, he's definitely an excellent author and an excellent writer, or he wouldn't be so popular with, you know, so many of his books. So I did enjoy this. And from what I understand, this, because it was different from some of his others, people either really enjoyed it or really didn't like it because it was different. And he even wrote a foreword in the middle, sort of inspired to write this by the great Gatsby. And so, but he wrote about the Gold Coast and this relationship between this attorney, the main character, the mafia leader that moved in next door, and just all the different things that went on after that happened. And so I enjoyed the Gold Coast. I enjoyed Nelson DeMille, great author. Enjoyed these 2 for old time's sake. If you're a Twin Peaks fan, they were just fun. And then Hard Target Living, just an excellent book on being a hard target to keep yourself safe. And Donna will be on the show next Friday to discuss this book and give you some tips on staying safe. So looking forward to that show. That's what I wanted to share today. And I share this stuff. Maybe you see something that you want to read. Great. If not, hopefully it inspires you to go out and read something that you will enjoy, that you will learn from. That's the key. Read. Whether it's paper like these books, Kindle, which I read as well, Audible, which I'm always listening to things in the car and different times too. Whichever format you choose, read for entertainment, read for enjoyment, read for education. Just read. And I hope these shows help motivate you to do that. And I hope maybe that shares something you might want to include in your reading. Going to say good morning to Thad. Thank you for being here, Thad. Appreciate that and hope you're doing well. Going to say good morning to Eric. Eric said, good morning from Columbus, Ohio. Thank you, Eric. I appreciate you saying good morning. Hope you're doing well there in Columbus. It's been many years since I've been in Columbus. Long time ago, went down there for the Arnold Schwarzenegger Classic. And that was one of the first Arnold Classics when they had just started it way back then. I know it's grown into something bigger and better now. I'd like to get back in that part of the country one of these years. Thank you, guys. Thank everybody for watching. Thank everybody for sharing. Thank everybody for subscribing to the newsletter, enjoylifesafely.com. That'll go out tomorrow with some good stuff in it. Good stuff every week on staying safe, defending yourself, living an exceptional life, and enjoying that life safely. So get on that newsletter at enjoylifesafely.com. And before I leave, Eric said, it's huge. We'd love to have you. Thank you. Thank you, Eric. I appreciate that. Thank you very much. Everybody, make it a spectacular Super Saturday. I wish I was in Florida at the Korean Martial Art Festival, but I know they're all having a fantastic time there. If you ever get a chance, that's an event to attend. And I will hopefully be back there next year at the 20th Korean Martial Art Festival, because it really sucks missing it this time. But have a spectacular Saturday. I will be back tomorrow to talk about a movie I saw last night, a little movie by the title of Normal. We'll see you then.